how Rucking could be a game changer for your PT client. Now, don't be fooled by the blazer. I'm normally an active wear like you guys, and I have my own PT client that I have the struggles and the challenges with in terms of consistency, goal setting, and also bringing new clients into a PT business. Because for some clients, they have a real aversion or fear of what exercise could look like. So, a little about me, although Megan has already touched on all of this. I have nearly 20 years experience working within health, wellness, and fitness. It's something that I'm particularly passionate about, and it's something that I think gives me a really diverse skill set to talk to you about today in terms of a new product or a new tool for your personal training clients. So, somewhat controversially, maybe, I'm going to discuss the CrossFit Level 1 educational weekend, and they have a really strong message around fitness, wellness, fitness continuum. Now, for me, that's something that's really of interest because it gives us an understanding of where general population are when they come to us as personal trainers. So if you look up on the screen, I've made a bit of an adaptation around that today. Point number one, that person with completely sedentary, overweight, multiple chronic diseases, think particularly unhealthy, very, very limited experience with exercise, if any at all. Now I want you to think to the complete other end of the spectrum. Number 10, the fittest person in the world. I'm not going to tell you what modality they might do. It might be an Ironman, it might be a strongman, it could be anything, but the fittest person in the world. Now, our clients as personal trainers fit on that continuum somewhere. Now, the point that I want to highlight to you at this point in the presentation is if you're sitting in this room, you sit much higher up the continuum than you might think. You embody health, wellness, fitness, taking care of your nutrition, taking care of yourself. We are skewed on this bell curve or on this continuum because you are in that job on a daily basis. Our clients often aren't at that same space as us, and they often think we're a lot further along than we're there to be met. So, what is Rucking? Rucking has been around for a really long time. It's steeped in military history. So Rucking originated in the military with soldiers marching long distances with rucksacks on their back. Now that's a weighted backpack, as much as 70 pounds, which equates to about 31 kilograms, to train for carrying equipment in the field. Military training is still taking up pack marches or rucking as the staple in their recruitment training program. Now we have developed a system or a concept where we want to bring rucking to the general population. So I'm not necessarily bringing a new concept to you today, but we want to rehash an old concept for the general population. So what are the benefits of rucking? Walking with weight means you can improve your cardiovascular health, means you're building in strength training because the rucksack is weighted, meaning you get an increased calorie burn. Now, anecdotally, when we have run tests literally with people within our company, if you do a walk for 30 minutes on a treadmill, you get a certain amount of calorie burn. When we put the weighted products on, it was 2 to 3 times greater for the same amount of time, the same incline, the same output. The difference or the variable was the weight. So that's really important. And when we're on calorie burn, I just want to say straight off the bat, and it's a great time to acknowledge this after Sally's presentation, calorie burn or striving for weight loss doesn't have to be a toxic thing. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. For some people, it's a really important facet as to why they're going to start their exercise journey. And we can facilitate that with our language around calorie burn rather than weight loss or just managing that language. Improvement in bone density. It's commonly known that strength training does help to support bone density, and that's a really important point as we go further into the presentation. Because rucking has quite a lot of adaptations or variability, we can make the task difficult when you get the clients to that point. So we're starting to build resilience, a little bit of grit in and around the workout. And something that's really lovely is the social aspect. Rucking is done outside, it's best done with friends, and you get that social connection, which really helps to drive as well mental well-being and mental health. So, in putting this together today, I didn't want to just stand up here and sprout a whole heap of statistics. I want to give you guys some actionables that you can potentially take with you and execute in the gym when you go back on Mondays. And I also wanted to kind of create some thought-provoking case studies about how you might be able to bring new clients into your world and how Rucking can help you to support them. I had the pleasure of sitting in on the business summit yesterday, and it was really refreshing to hear Barry talk about the preventative nature of medicine, exercise as medicine, and how we have the capacity to prescribe exercise to better people with chronic disease. Now, that's something that I'm going to touch on quite specifically in our next couple of case studies too. So I'm going to start really, really simply in the context of how can Rucking support your PT clients. We are currently in a cost of living crisis. And I'm sure as PTs, you have potentially had clients go from 2 or 3 sessions per week down to 1 based purely on economics, or 4 or 5 times a week down to 2 or 3. Now, what you can do with clients on a limited time frame becomes a little bit restrictive. Now, there's a couple of things that we can do there. For some people, that might be, oh shit, am I going to lose this client now that I only have them once a week rather than 3 times a week? Now, I would encourage you to consider Rucking as almost like a supplemental exercise that you can prescribe. And I really want to encourage you to think about it in that way. So, for goals and strategies around this, it helps to improve compliance with training. If they have a session with you on a Monday, but they're not coming back till the following Monday, can we prescribe a short hill ruck on a Wednesday and a long slow ruck on a Friday? Tell me how that went. Can you upload it on Strava? Can you tell me how that feels? You're still in control, or you're still adding to their training program without physically having them in the gym with you. And to be fair, that's probably dipping into the hybrid training concept that Georgia was speaking about earlier today. That helps to build the trust in you. Because if you have a client that is in front of you, they need your help. If they could do it by themselves, they would have. So by having them engage, you might have them once a week. The continuing to foster that relationship with you, with your program, is something that Rucking can help you with, isn't it? And it can also help to prevent plateaus. Is once a week enough? Probably not. What can we do to support ongoing betterment of our health? Now, something that I want you to consider here when we're talking about versatility, there are many ways that you can prescribe Rucking for your client. So there's so many ways that we can use dumbbells in our gym, that we can use barbells in our gym. They're very versatile pieces of equipment. We're very comfortable with increasing and decreasing load, increasing the tempo, changing the volume, changing the distance, changing the route. There's so many different ways that we can adapt this one piece of equipment that gives you versatility to flesh out a program around that 1 or 2 sessions with you per week. I would highly encourage you to have your clients, if you're not using a online tracking software, maybe like TrueCoach or something like that, Strava is so fantastic. It's free. It gives you the opportunity for your clients to track their workouts, log their scores, see improvements. And you can incorporate that into your goal setting or your accountability piece. All right, so now I'm going to take a little bit of a leap, and we're going to talk very much in the context of preventative health, exercise prescription, and potential clients that I believe you can draw into the gym to support their long-term health goals and chronic disease management with something like Rucking. So, what is diabetes? In case you are unaware of it, it's a chronic disease that occurs either when the pancreas does not produce enough insulin or when the body cannot effectively use the insulin that it produces. Insulin is the hormone that regulates our blood glucose. Now, the most important thing that I think I can share with you today in this case study comes from the Diabetes Australia State of the Nation paper that was released this year that says obesity is the main risk factor for developing type 2 diabetes. So the point that I wanted to make on calorie burn a few slides ago becomes very relevant now, because if someone is overweight, that puts them at a significantly increased risk of type 2 diabetes, which leads to ongoing chronic disease problems. So if someone is overweight or struggling with obesity, you can help them. So the prevalence of this disease is very significant. Now, I don't want to talk to this point in terms of just statistics. I want to talk to you about potential clients. There are 300 people a day diagnosed in this country with newly diagnosed type 2 diabetes. That is a lot of people every day. They are within your community. Risk factors associated with type 2 diabetes, being overweight, is number one. Unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, smoking, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, family history, and women who have a previous history of gestational diabetes. This becomes really important because the therapeutic guidelines for treatment, and this is from the RACGP, so the Royal Australian College of GP, this is their guideline around what should happen when a patient has type 2 diabetes. I want to draw your attention to physical activity. My goodness, it's small on my screen. It's probably small on your screen too. 150 minutes of aerobic exercise, of aerobic activity, plus 2 to 3 sessions per week of resistance exercise. I apologize for how small that is. If you know what the recommendations for physical activity guidelines in Australia are, that is it. It is mirrored. If you have type 2 diabetes and you're newly diagnosed, that is what the GP should recommend that you do. Now, I just want to take a little pause here and imagine that you're that person sitting in the GP's office and you've just been told, we've got type 2 diabetes, and now potentially we're going down a medication path, and now you've got a nutrition referral, and now you've got this, and now you've got that. What is happening on the physical exercise front? Are they prescribing exercise? Are they referring to you? Because I think as health professionals, exercise professionals, that's what we are. We have a role to play in ticking off that physical activity piece. Very interestingly to me, hopefully to you, I come from a pharmaceutical background and a nursing background. The indications for the gold standard first-line treatment for type 2 diabetes, which is metformin, is an adjunct to diet and exercise modification. Meaning, when you get the script for this, it should also be in combination with modification to diet and exercise. Now, I would challenge GPs to do better in terms of that physical activity exercise prescription piece. And I would challenge you to form a relationship with diabetes educators, your local GPs, your nutritionists, to support your type 2 diabetics to get moving. Because I think we have a role to play. From a business point of view, there's a significant market there. And if we have the capacity and the tools to support a new client with exercise, then that's what we're kind of here to do. It's not a sexy topic. We're not talking about Olympic sprinting or high performance. We're talking about general population here. But general population, you can really shift the needle on. So we're bringing it back to that client or that patient that's sitting in the GP's office that's got handouts and scripts and, holy shit, I've got a huge disease state that I have to manage all of a sudden. Where did that client sit on the health continuum? Yesterday, during the business summit, a physiotherapist came in and spoke quite passionately about this exact thing, preventative exercise. Tim spoke beautifully, I thought, yesterday. And one of his recommendations was, if you think about the Hippocratic Oath that doctors take, first do no harm. We can do that with training modalities that is slow, steady, graded for these clients. That helps the client, that helps to build a relationship with allied health, with the medical community, and most importantly, it gives us ongoing meaningful work. Okay, I'm going to shift into the next unsexy topic. Jen, you've come at a great time. Peri and postmenopausal women don't get a lot of airtime, but let me tell you how I think that you can help them. First of all, let's understand what is menopause. There is a lot of media out there around perimenopause and menopause at the moment, but it's highly possible the female population or sector of this audience have listened and maybe our fellows haven't. So I'm going to fill in the gaps. Menopause is a point in time 12 months after a woman's last period. The years leading up to the point when women may have changes in their monthly cycles, hot flashes and other symptoms are called the menopausal transition or perimenopause. A couple of points here. From the Australian Menopause Society, most women have symptoms for 5 to 10 years. I want you to think about having an injury that is not met for 5 to 10 years. The frustrations that I'm not being heard, what am I going to do? Are we doctor shopping? Are we not feeling like we're getting on top of this? This is something that all women go through. I think there is a growing bunch of women, for not very eloquent description, who are starting to educate themselves and inform themselves around how we can best prepare for menopause. But there is a generation who won't talk about it, who they just ignore the fast, they won't treat the symptoms, they'll just ignore that it's like a hot flush kind of problem and we'll just go on from there. Now, the reason that this topic or this subset of women, people, is really important is because what happened when the hormonal shift happens. So I'm not going to run through all of the symptoms here. I'm going to get you to read along. The lifestyle management points that we have here, extremely similar to that of type 2 diabetes. Early advice, modifying your diet, modifying your weight, increasing physical activity. There are a lot of similarities between your type 2 diabetic subsection and your perimenopausal women subsection. This becomes particularly important because postmenopausal women are very susceptible to osteoporosis. Okay, so what is osteoporosis? It's a progressive disease that weakens your bone, increasing the risk of fractures. Osteoporosis, according to the World Health Organization, is caused by hormonal changes at menopause. Estrogens have an important function in preserving bone in adulthood, and bone loss occurs as estrogen levels decline. So this is why peri and postmenopausal women are a focus point, I think, for you guys to be able to support in the gym. The risk of osteoporosis. Now, why is that significant? I kind of hate this slide on review. I've looked at it so many times. The one thing I want you to take from this is the bottom point. The reported 1-year mortality after sustaining a hip fracture has been estimated to be 14 to 58%. Year on year, that increases by 4%. Mortality is death. Close to 60% of female patients after a hip fracture can die after 1 year. Okay? The thing that's not spoken about with mortality is if you don't die and if you're really lucky, maybe you end up in a nursing home. I would argue that's probably the worst option. Okay, so there are things that can be done for women post-menopause that you can support them with in the gym. And I'll go as far to say that I don't think you have to be a woman to support them. We just have to understand what the needs are. So, what if I put it to you that you could train for menopause? You could promote training for perimenopausal women. The exercise recommendations to reduce fracture is increasing in strength training, weight-bearing impact exercise, balance training, and limit prolonged sitting. You can see the risk factors down the side. Now I'm going to draw your attention back to the benefits of rucking. Hopefully we can see the correlation there. By simply adding weight to your walk, which is what rucking is, you can hit these metrics that are significantly advantageous for peri and postmenopausal women. Significantly advantageous for newly diagnosed type 2 diabetes. Now, I've highlighted the type 2 diabetic at new diagnosis because, unfortunately, that's probably when they're most vulnerable. That's when we're most likely to take action. Okay? So a couple of case studies at the end where I'm stretching it a little bit. I would love for you to go out there and to start exploring, what if I offered strength training to 45 plus women, 45 years plus? You might have 45 on them, but let's say 45 slow. There are definite advantages to that. I would also challenge you to think, if they've never walked in the door of a gym previously and they get told in a doctor's office, you need to do strength training, they think what you're going to do is like the strongman out in the fitness expos. Okay? It's not. All you have to do is add external load. And that's where I believe that Rucking has a real role to play. I think it was, my memory is going back now, Georgia was talking about under 25s, the uptake of exercise or the trend at the moment is run clubs. 45-year-olds plus women, walk clubs. What can sit in the middle? A ruck club. It could bridge the gap between the two. I've spoken a lot about this as a personal training tool. What if you have 20 personal training clients that you can bring together in a ruck club and form community? They get you in that one-on-one capacity, but they also get that social connection when you're bringing other like minds together. You're the person that brings it together. You're the person that facilitates that, but maybe you're giving that extra social connection, that extra social aspect. So, in closing, I hate this slide too. I thought there was a QR code. Anyway, that's all right. I'm not going to talk to you about commercial. Okay, there is a standout in the Fitness Expo where you can try rucks and you can buy rucks and you can go into all of that. This company was designed by somebody who had poor health. Our CEO had poor health, he was in a lifestyle crisis, and he found rucking to better his health. He reversed his type 2 diabetes by simply rucking regularly. Creating consistency, the barrier to entry is low. If you can walk, you can ruck. This is not a military exercise. This is not, you can use it in boot camps, but it doesn't have to be a big camp activity. This is a tool that you can bring to your clients to create consistency and to get the full benefits of rucking. That being said, we want to support those that spread that message. So we've developed an affiliate program where if you want to get involved in setting up ruck clubs, we've got templates, we've got PDFs, everything that you will need to support you with that. We also have developed a gym and personal trainers discounted rate. So there is a QR code over on my little table over there, but you can also go to rupsat.com. And do I have my email? Do I have it? Yeah. This is me. If you send a message, I will reply to you. You're getting straight through to me. It's not an automation. If you have questions around what that looks like in terms of implementation for you, please reach out. We're a new business and we're really committed to supporting not only general population chronic disease management, but also the personal trainers who are spreading that word. Thank you.